I'm Dan.
And I'm Robin.
And we're the Ramblers. Welcome to part 2 of our question and answers of our first 6 months on the Great Loop.
Yes, and you can see part 1 in the links below. Okay, this is from Helen. What surprised you the most so far, like living on the boat? I know what I'm going to say. Do you have an answer?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, my answer is, to be honest, I'm surprised that kind of piggybacks on the other one, that we can be together for so long and that we are getting along quite well.
Huh.
I'm not a total surprise because I've lived with you forever, but it's nice to know that in those smaller, but we're making it work, and this is our house now, and I haven't really looked back. It's like there's the kitchen, there's the bedroom, you know what I mean? It just all works. That was my biggest surprise, was we're making it work, and it's doing great. Huh. And I haven't. The other big surprise is I haven't missed anything. I haven't missed the house or the condo or stuff like that.
You've mentioned that a few times to me.
Yeah, I don't miss that at all.
One of the most surprising things for me, and I guess I knew what to expect in terms of the boat and traveling on the boat, but I think the fact that it's been as cold as it has.
Yeah.
It's not super cold, it's still way warmer than being up in Michigan, but we haven't, hit what we feel like Florida weather should be. Yeah,
like what we
consistently
want. Right.
Yet.
Well, the other issue at this point, when we were originally planning, we were supposed to be further south near Fort Myers or Naples, but then the Hurricane Ian has kind of put a damper, which is why we're as north as we are at this point. But I agree, because I thought it'd be not in long sleeves. It's like 65 today, but
and it's been unusually cold.
I have that Florida blood now.
It's been unusually cold for Florida now, and for the whole country, I think the whole southeast.
All right. Carrie wants to know, what's the hardest part about living on a boat? The hardest part about living on a boat.
I guess some things aren't as convenient as living in the house. We have to take a hike to get packages that get delivered.
Right, and anytime, and because you can get a 50-foot boat and it'll be different, but ours is a 36. But anytime we want to get something out of a cupboard, you have to move like 7 things. You have to take the cushions off the seat, to open the cupboard, then to move 3 things to find the oil or to find the whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, everything is a process.
And that's just something, I kept saying when we were first putting everything on the boat, everything we're going to have to move as long as we move it back. So that's just something, you can't just usually open a cupboard and grab something. Usually you have to move through. So that's, I think, the biggest thing is not even the hardest part, but something you have to kind of acclimate yourself. Alrighty, that was basically daily life. Now we're going to get into mechanics, boat stuff. Here we go. Ready? Todd wants to know how far. Well, basically, what is our tank sizes, and what kind of tanks do we have and engines?
Well, we have 2 Caterpillar diesel engines. I think they're 325 horsepower each. And
they're stored right below where we're sitting now. They're like on the salon floor. Right. So what's nice about that is Dan has to do an oil change or change anything. He just lifts up the floor and works on it. He's inside, so that's nice.
Right. As I said, they're diesel engines. We have 2 tanks, 150 gallons each, so 300 gallons of diesel. Depending on how fast you run, obviously affects how much fuel you use, but the speeds we've been mostly running at, it's been about 9 or 10 miles an hour. And you are supposed to use miles per hour, not knots, when you're on inland waterways.
Okay.
So that's what we go by, and that's what most of our people that we travel with run at. These are their maximum.
So how much does?
So at that speed, we burn we get almost 3 miles a gallon.
Right. Our boat can go faster, but that's our traveling speed.
Safely go over 800 miles at that kind of speed with full fuel.
Todd was, again, I think you answered his question, but he was very surprised when we crossed the Gulf of Mexico that we didn't have to hit Phillips.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, it's a long haul, but it's 176 miles.
Yeah, so
And
we had plenty of
we
fuel.
burned 61 gallons of fuel.
Over, yeah, so that was a good run.
Not a problem.
Let's see what else is in here. And we have, oh, the other tanks we have besides fuel tanks are a water tank. What's our water tank?
We have 204 gallons total. There's 3 water tanks.
So the water tanks mean basically we have to have water on board, like fresh water, that when we go into a marina, we fill our tanks with fresh water for washing, for drinking. And for drinking, we put it through a double filter, and it tastes just fine, actually.
Yeah,
we always
fine.
drink out of here. Ice cubes, that sort of thing. And then so we have 3 of those. And then the third, the other type of tank would be our holding tank. So if you're familiar with campers or RVs, it kind of holds your waste. And we try to just do the liquid waste on the boat. And then that's the other thing that's kind of the hard part and you have to get used to is sometimes that fills up and you have to pump it out.
Yeah,
So
that goes back to the inconvenience.
more of an inconvenience. Let's see, Daryl. He wanted to know the length of our boat and the power. How many hours do you think you have on the engines?
2,700.
2,700. There you go, Daryl. And Roxanne wants to know, she wanted us to do one of our boat tours. She goes, can you do a boat tour? And lo and behold, we did a boat tour.
I did.
So we will do, I'll put that link down below, Roxanne, if you haven't seen that, or if anybody else wants to do a very comprehensive inside and outside boat tour of our boat. We answer a lot of questions there. But one of the questions she does ask is, do you guys have isinglass or screen? And I guess what that means is we have a bridge on the top of our boat, and on that bridge, it's a lot of people have enclosures. Either like it's not like a hard glass,
Right.
it's a
It's
thick
a
plastic
sort of plastic.
isinglass. Some people have the isinglass. You unzip that, and there's a screen. Some people just have a screen, and some people have nothing. When we bought the boat, it had nothing. We did not opt for the isinglass, the plastic. We opted for a screen. And what type of screen did we get?
We had a screen enclosure made just before we left, really, and it was made with we specified no seam screen, very fine mesh for what we were told we need down here in Florida for the no seam bugs that are so small they go through normal screens. So far, we haven't had a lot of experience with that. But
yeah, more in the spring we'll be
the
getting
screens also they also
springtime.
help knock down a lot of wind. So
Yeah.
it
up in the bridge.
it also
Yeah.
helps with that.
Because we drive a lot from
Comfort.
90% of the time we're up there, unless it's bad weather or cold, we'll drive from down below. Because we have 2 helms. That means helms is the driving station. So up top on the bridge out in the open, or down below right here in the salon. Again, watch our boat tour video. All right, we are moving on to expenses. Carrie wants to know, well, both Carrie and Gloria and Eddie have questions. So I'm going to just give you all the questions. We'll just kind of wrap it up in a nutshell. But is life on the water expensive? Did you have to sell everything to afford to go on this trip? Or, it's just kind of regular living expenses? And are the expenses about what you expected? More or less stayed about what you expected? And that's from Carrie, Gloria, and Eddie. Some of the loopers, we have stats down. They can only spend so much a month, blah, blah. Dan and I are living life, and we either rein things in, or if we want something to do or go, we do it. I think it's about exactly what we thought. We know what our retirement money was. We sold our house and all that. That was nice and helpful. So it just is continuing our life.
Yeah, we have the same amount of, actually, what I've noticed is we've actually had more money in our bank accounts stay a little higher than they did living in the house.
Right.
So I'm guessing it's not any more expensive.
Yeah. So we're
because
not
we got rid of the expenses
financial
for cars
advisors
and none of other things that you don't think about so much. Car insurance and all of those kinds of expenses are not there anymore.
But there are many loopers who actually keep stats and spreadsheets and have budgets, and we don't do that. We just live life.
But most people out there doing the loop keep their homes, so you don't
that's
have
true.
to sell your house in order to do it.
That's true.
Most of them, in fact, a lot of them went home at Christmas time to visit family and things like that. So they come and go a little bit. during their loop.
That's true. Good point.
So it's different for everybody. For us, we find it's kind of pretty much similar to living in our house.
Yeah. Good. All right. Miscellaneous. Helen wants to know what kind of internet, what would you recommend, that kind of thing. So what we're finding is actually internet has been better at some, I shouldn't say that, it's good here. It's spotty in some marinas. It was very spotty in the river system. If we had any, there were, I think, a week in and out, probably 7-8 days in a row. We hardly had any internet.
Right.
So we basically we have ATT, and that seems to help in a hot spot. Other people, like one will have ATT, one will have Verizon, or whatever carrier, one of each to kind of cover both. And the big thing right now, since we upload a lot of videos, we really haven't had too much of an issue on that. We'll let it upload at night kind of thing. We are not working from the boat, so a lot of people are actually still working on the boat where they need.
They work remotely.
Yeah, remotely, and then continue on. But a big thing a lot of loopers are getting is Starlink. That way they have uninterrupted cell service, streaming, all that sort of thing. We have not bought into that yet. Maybe one day if we go out to the Bahamas, which we might plan to do, not this trip but the next trip, but things like that. So right now it hasn't been too bad. Yes, there has been spots where it's been not as good as we want. You just gotta go, okay, we don't have internet today, but I can't really give you a recommendation because it's just so gray.
Yeah, we haven't made any major investments in that, and we've been able to upload our videos when we needed to and that sort of thing. So we're getting by just fine. No question that Starlink is the best way to go if you really need to have the internet service available all the time. Yeah. Because there are people, like she said, that are working, that we've met, that use it all the time.
Just research that. And there's a great website called Technomedia. They know they live in an RV and a boat, and they know all that stuff. So we're not sponsoring them or anything, but that's a good place. You just have to do a good resource to start. Paula wants to know, she's also very concerned about the uncertainty of the weather.
Yeah, well, that's something
that's like living at home.
You got to keep an eye on the weather. We have a lot of weather apps.
Lots.
On our phones.
Yes, we have Climb,
internet,
Windy. Windy is a very good one for wind because wind is very important on a boat. Yeah. The Weather Channel, NOAA, Tide apps. We'll talk about tides in a minute. Yeah. But what we found, Paula, out about weather is it's just like living at home. Dan and I have owned boats together for our whole life. This is our 9th boat, our whole life together. Yeah. And we've been on the Great Lakes and places, and we've traveled through storms and wind and waves and horrible boating conditions, in our opinion, rough waters. I don't want to do it again. I told him that. I'm done doing that. However, there are times when you just have to do it. You're caught in it.
You get caught.
You get caught in it, basically. But right now, we have decided to be fair weather boaters. So we will wait, if possible, in a marina or at an anchorage or go out and anchor or whatever until the weather passes. That's just been our rule. We know people who go out. As a matter of fact, right now, not only are we in a cold spell in Florida, it's extremely windy yesterday and today. Yesterday was 25 mile per hour, pretty much sustained winds. So living on a boat, you feel that. So at home, you might hear it. Here you hear it and feel it.
How was that?
That was my 3D.
Oh, okay.
4D. Goofy.
Okay.
Anyway, and then tides. So we are from the Great Lakes. We're from Michigan. We're Great Lake freshwater boaters on the river systems. Mobile, Alabama was the first time we got into the brackish water and salt water and tides. And that is something that was a little unexpected too. Somebody had asked that question earlier. I'm surprised that everything we had planned and read about was, oh my gosh, the locks are going to be really hard. They're not that hard once you get the first one under your belt. Right. It's more the anxiety of doing the first one, and then it's easy. And then the same with the tides. You just kind of, oh my gosh. You got a tide planner on your app, and they tell you when the high tide is, the low tide, how much more line you have to leave for in the marinas. Everything's been
You
pretty
adjust
easy.
the lines every once in a while if you have to.
Yeah, and adjust is a great word. We've just kind of adjusted to tides.
Yeah.
Saltwater is a whole new ball game for us. Everything's sticky if we get sprays.
Sticky, things corrode
faster.
You got to try to, hose the boat off with when we get into a marina after we've been have the salt spray getting all over it, just to keep the corrosion down. Yeah, I think saltwater's been a bigger adjustment than tides.
Just because of the and even if you wash your hands, they feel sticky.
Yeah,
and that's not every day. It's just if we get a big spray coming over or something like that. However, on the good side is it's nothing better than smelling the ocean all the time.
Well, that, and I mean, the minute we got into Mobile Bay in the salt water, we were greeted by dolphins.
Yeah, pelicans
across the bow. So
sharks. We saw sharks. Watch
cool
some
things.
of our videos. You'll see that. And then somebody, Robin and Greg want to know, Robin, are you going to go back to teaching or teach remotely for boat-bound kids? No, I'm done. I love teaching, love it, but I'm moving on. However, I just bringing that up. There are people who loop with children, small children and teenagers, and either, I guess, homeschool. I don't know the programs, and there's also a lot of online programs that do that. So there are kids on the loop. All right, now we're getting into travel. We're getting closer to wrapping up. 2 more sections. Travel. Nancy really was fascinated with us crossing the Gulf, and she watched those videos, but she didn't quite get how big it was, how different it was. Why did we do it at night?
You can do it in the daylight if you have a fast enough boat, which we do. You want to be able to see all the crab pods. There's a lot of crab pods out there, and you have to be able to dodge your way through them. And if you do it at night, you can't see them. And if you're coming in at night, the other problem is that it's hard to see the lights marking the channels and everything because you got all the lights of the city behind you. So the thing is, if you have a slower boat, you want to arrive in the morning, and you try to not to arrive too early in the morning either, because the sun's in your eyes. You're looking right at the rising sun.
Yeah.
And so you want to time it so that you're arriving around 10 o'clock in the morning. We, as I said, don't have a slow boat, but we were traveling with other people who do.
Right.
And we wanted to travel with them. That was more important for us to stick with our friends than to get across as fast as we could.
And I'm so glad we chose that, because I loved that moment. It was fun. And that brings us into another question. Have you taken, this is from Brenda, are you going to take the inland route from the Gulf to the Atlantic? No, she's talking about the intercoastal. I'm assuming, Brenda, that goes through the Okeechobee River, which is in the middle of Florida. We have opted not to do that this trip. Many loopers do. That's the looping route, and some will continue on to the Bahamas. This particular loop, we are going down into the Keys. So we'll be spending the rest of the winter in the Keys, Key West in particular, and bouncing around or hanging out in the Keys area, and then coming back up the intercoastal on the east side of the country. So, all right. Ready for this one. What was your favorite port so far? And this is from Rita. Whoops.
Dang,
I don't know what I was thinking.
You can't put it there.
Oops.
Favorite so far? Wow, I don't know that I have a favorite. I've liked a lot of different places for different reasons.
Yeah, I can't really give a specific, because it was really cool being in the big city. Like Chicago was absolutely amazing.
Cool.
Literally, we were right downtown, and buildings all around us, and right off the river. So, and then you've got like the medium-sized towns like St. Petersburg. I'm just trying to think of all the places we've been.
Nashville was a cool
Nashville was a great side trip.
A lot going on there.
Beaver Island, more remote and a little town.
Yeah.
Then you get into like cool little eclectic towns or artsy towns like Gulfport, Paducah, Kentucky. You can't come. And then anchoring out. Anchoring out is fabulous. It's like you're in nature, and you're the only one there in the whole wide world. And then crossing the Gulf of Mexico at night with just 2 other boats, one way ahead of us and one way behind us, felt like we were the only people in the world. that sunrise was just for Dan and me, and it was really incredible. I don't know if you guys all saw a sunrise that day because it was just for Dan and me, but it was really cool.
And where we're at here, Clearwater Beach.
Yeah, now this is more
been a great
touristy,
place.
but it's fun. We're just off the touristy thing. We feel like we live here. We've been here a
There's
while.
plenty of places within walking distance and things to do. There's a nice beach, but we're near enough to a big enough town to have services that we need and groceries and things like that.
It's a good place to stay for a while.
It's a good place to be for an extended period.
Can't compare apples to apples. It just we get to see so many different genres of places to live, from country to urban to small town. It's Americana.
All right, now that's the whole point of the trip, just to see.
Do you have a least favorite port? Rita wants to know.
Least favorite. It's funny because it's the two that come to my mind are both. One of the biggest reasons is we weren't there very long. Joliet, we came in late on the wall, and that's when we had a little issue with the boat.
Yeah, you're right. We came in late. We left early. Midway.
The other one was I was going to say was Midway, because we came in late. We left real early the next morning. I didn't even see any. I don't think I ever.
So I don't think there was a bad port,
but it's not a bad town or anything. I just didn't see it.
I can't answer the question because I don't have a.
Thought was bad. I mean,
no, everything's been, you make do and you kind of live it.
People have been friendly everywhere we've been.
This land is your land. This land is my land. All right, this is our wrapping up section. Okay. So a lot of this wrapping up section is a lot of the same kind of questions, and I'm just going to say who they're all from at the top here. We got some questions from Tina, Carrie, Sarah E, Carol F, and I'm saving this last one for last. All right, the last one. So basically, are you going to move back to Michigan? What are your other adventures? Are you going to go to other states? How long do you plan on living on the boat? What are you going to do when the loop is over? Was this a bucket list thing and you're moving on? What's your next adventure? And are you going to live on the boat for good?
That's a whole bunch of questions.
They're all kind of the same, though. So basically, our very next adventure is tomorrow. No. Our goal right now, we want to do the loop again. We're going to have some issues with locks being closed and stuff, but we're going to figure it out. And instead of doing some of the places, we're going to go to other places. We're going to do other side trips. Instead of going to the Keys, we're thinking of going to the Bahamas. Yes, we're going to live on the boat. So at least for the unforeseeable future. Another goal we've been kicking around is after the boat, we'll keep a smaller boat, or maybe this one, we don't know, but we'll get an RV, and we will tour the country and Canada and hang out like there.
Yeah, we plan to keep moving one way or another and seeing things.
And I don't see us ever getting another concrete mortar and brick home. No, this is, I love being on the go. I love
no plan for that at the moment anyway.
Right. I love every morning as a different backyard or front yard and new people.
And not likely living back in Michigan on a permanent basis.
No, visiting, not living there. I have to be somewhere warm. And I think that answered all of those questions. And then Amber wants to know, when will the Discovery Channel pick us up? Amber, I love you. Hopefully soon. Now, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there about the loop. We have our own, and I will put the links of our YouTube, our Facebook, and our Instagram on there. I try to do Instagram and Facebook every day. YouTube are our longer YouTube videos. There are lots of great channels out there with the how-tos and the how to dock a boat, how to do this, or what happens when this happens, how to change the oil. Dan and I are doing more of Dan and my trip, and this is what we like, and this is what we see, and these are some good things. So
slice of life.
Slice of life.
Rise and Bound.
Perfect. So I hope you do like and subscribe to our channel, and I think that's everything, Kat and Dan.
I
think we answered a bunch of your questions. We may do this again, but yeah, we've already been on here over 6 months, done 3,000 miles on a 36-foot boat, and we're living our dream.
Yeah, roughly halfway through this loop.
Yeah, and we're glad you're living it with us. So I'm Robin.
And I'm Dan.
And we're the Ramblers.